Well, I'm doing Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff a little differently. I don't know if I'm going to put any music in the background like I usually do at the beginning. I have kind of chopped this up, so if you don't want to see the analysis or some of the national stuff, you can fast forward to the local one. I'm going to put out 3 different files today using all these different ones, so that I can do one for Lower Michigan, as I've been doing, one for South Texas, as I had been doing, although I see that I've not done it in a month. So hopefully when we're on the river again, I can do this in the mornings and try to get everything up to date quicker. I'm hoping that my new procedure will help me do this. And then the last one is going to be the river forecasts. Since you may or may not know, Mary and I are doing a what's known as the Great American Loop. We are currently we've gotten our boat down from northern Michigan all the way through Chicago, down the Illinois River, and we're currently on the Mississippi River at Alton, Illinois, at the marina there. We are planning on leaving here soon to complete the Mississippi and the Ohio River sections here in a few days, and then we will move on and then down the Tennessee to the Tongue-Bigby River. There's a canal that connects the 2 rivers, and then out Mobile, where we will take a right and go to Corpus Christi for part of the winter, and then eventually move ourselves off to the east into Florida by springtime, so that we can see some things like like Key West and some of those areas, as well as then also go through up the East Coast on the Intracoastal Waterway and maybe even hit the Bahamas. We'll see how all that pans out as we go along. All right, enough of that. Here we go. All right, so for the analysis part, this is this morning's upper air chart for 500 millibars. It's basically where the jet stream steering currents are. We have an area of low pressure that's up over just north of the Great Lakes, almost into James Bay, just kind of pinwheeling there. There's a little bit of a block with the low pressure here off to the west, and then a ridge up north, but the ridge isn't very strong, so it's not much of a blocking pattern. It could turn into a more blocking pattern later on, so we'll see. There is one thing that's stopping up all the works on a lot of this, and that's Tropical Storm Melissa, which we will talk about here in a bit. Surface analysis for this morning. The most recent one that I had at the time was the one from 4 a.m. 5 a.m. whatever. 9Z. It was anyway. In the upper Great Lakes, there's low pressure. The high's trying to work in, the low is going on, and if you see these little troughs and things, and you'll see this here on the more evident on the satellite, but there is some lake effect rain showers going on. You get a little further south, we do have this boundary that's been kind of sitting. It's kind of getting its act together a little bit. This area of low pressure off to the west is going to develop at some point and go in through the lower Mississippi Valley. That could cause some problems on the loop here, and that would also cross the Tennessee and Tongue-Bigby rivers as well. And then further south, there is some rain going on down in South Texas, and we'll take a look at the chances there, primarily from the local office, since I haven't had a chance to actually work through all the forecasting details. And because of the shutdown, there's one website which is experimental on the government, one of the Weather Service websites that I like to use, and it is not available because it is experimental. So there we go. Looking at the satellite shot from this morning, this goes up through about 6 a.m. Or is it 7? Anyway, I'm 7 a.m. currently, local time here in southern Illinois. In Michigan, it's at 8 a.m. as basically when it kind of stops. You can see that upper level low here in the upper Great Lakes, and all that northwest flow, all the clouds and cloud streets kind of moving along those areas. And there are lake effect rain showers going on. That system out to the west that I was pointing to, that's going to form along that boundary. You can see that there's an upper level low there over the desert southwest in the Four Corners area. And then there's some clouds trying to get going out over the Gulf and try to move its way in. So we'll just take a look here, but you can see there's a pretty good southerly flow trying to get some things going over South Texas and South Central Texas. All right, just to give you the radar view, as I was saying, we got lake effect rain showers. You can see all those things just lining up right with the clouds, and the rain showers are all moving in. They are rain showers. It's not cold enough to snow up there yet, but that is what is going on. Is the same basic process. It's very light rain typically. You could at some points get a little bit of thunder out of it, but that's unlikely. That upper level low that's spinning out there in the desert southwest in the Four Corners area, you can see that there's some rain showers with that. And when we get to the national stuff, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Otherwise, and then there's some up in the Pacific Northwest as well from a system that's coming in off of the ocean. All right, to get started with some of the national stuff, we'll start off with some of the headlines that are currently going on. Out west, you can see a little bit of that there. Unfortunately, I cut it off by accident, but there are gale warnings and small craft advisories along the Pacific Ocean. There's a dense fog advisory there in the southern valley there near Fresno. Otherwise, you go across most of it. There's a high wind warning up there in Montana. And then there's basically freeze warnings and frost advisories across the central part of the United States out into the East Coast. Temperatures are getting cold enough. Didn't quite get us all the way down here where we're at along the Mississippi River yet, but it is causing, there is some chillier temperatures along the Tennessee River there, at least in Kentucky. All right, to take a look, there's a couple of things to point out, and I'll dive more into the tropical section here later. But we do have Tropical Storm Melissa that is forecast south of Jamaica and eventually become a Category 4 hurricane. And I'll take a little bit more into the tropics in a little bit. There is a chance, or I should say, there is a slight risk for severe weather there in up by the Panhandle and North Texas, going along with that upper level low that we were talking about here in the Four Corners area, and in the front that is trying to form up along there. There's also a marginal risk of severe weather in that same general area, as well as a marginal risk of excessive heavy rain. There is a general risk of general thunderstorms, so not expected to be not severe there along anywhere from southeast Texas all the way down the coastal bend to deep south Texas there into the Rio Grande Valley. So the thunderstorms will be possible out in those areas. There are also some thunder convective with some of those lake effect rain showers. Could be some thunder showers there along Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. All right, this gets a little confusing here because I laid the WPC and the SPC stuff on here. This kind of more pale looking yellow and not the really bright yellow is the SPC stuff. And the green marginal stuff is in and around it. Doesn't look like anything gets severe in South Texas per se. And then places further north are expecting to get a slight risk of excessive heavy rain, as well as then severe severe thunderstorms as you get up towards North Texas, in the northern part of the hill country there. They're expecting excessive heavy rain out in Oregon, along the coast of Washington and Northern California with that system that's coming in off of the Pacific. Otherwise, nothing else is going on. You can see my big blue dot about where I'm located. All right, and then for day 3, so if tomorrow is Friday, this will be Saturday. The expectation is that the severe weather will just be marginal through all of that, but there is a slight risk of excessive heavy rain as you get closer to Louisiana. That's as that system moves out of New Mexico and into across the southern plains and Texas there. That looks like there will be some rain possibilities on the loop coming down through the rivers as we get through there, especially on day 4. There is an excessive heavy rain, marginal excessive heavy rain outlook from the Weather Prediction Center in Washington for some of that area, and that would be for Sunday. All right, just to briefly touch on the tropics. Some of you are interested, some of you are not. So if you want to, you can fast forward through this. Tropical storm Melissa currently is out in the Caribbean Sea. It's going to meander around a little bit, slowly moving northward is the current track, and then before it turns towards the west. It's after that, in this forecast that the Hurricane Center puts out, only goes out through 5 days. So watch as it goes, because past 5 days, there are some things that we have to look at. There is some heavy rain, tropical rainfall expected with it. If it goes any further north, it could affect Hispaniola or Jamaica. So, but it is expected because of its slow risk or slow motion. There, you could have prolonged high winds, and it's going to probably, as the forecast indicates, begin to intensify as it continues on. There were some models another run or two ago that were showing that it could become a Cat 5. We'll see what happens. That's always been kind of a thing that the models don't always get right. All right, and to kind of show with what we're looking at, this is from the European forecast. This is the ensemble. So you take the European forecast basic model and then you tweak it several times, and I think there's like 25 to 40 different ensemble members that the Europeans have, and we have something similar. I think maybe up to 50 on the GFS. That solid black line is the consensus or average or mean track of what's going on. You can see a lot of these down here. It goes really slow. It's all over the place. It does try to move towards the east, or I mean towards the west and Central America. But as you note, there's only a few model ensemble runs, individual members that are trying to There are only a few model runs, a few ensemble members that are trying to actually move things over into Central America before it turns north. Most of them are beginning to go this way on the European. The European has always shown this kind of westward jog, and then I think it was going off to the northwest. The GFS, on the other hand, and it's still quite quick. It actually brings the whole system up through, up to Jamaica right now on the model mean, that big thick black line there, and into and over Cuba and Hispaniola after day 5, probably 6 or 7 is when it goes out there. And these forecasts all go out through 10 days. So that's where it ends. You can see that it also tries to bring things, but not quite into Central America before it all turns and curves off there. That is something that we do need to watch out for. It looks like that with that big area of low pressure that's over the Great Lakes, that will eventually start to pick it up and push it out if that low continues to be as strong as it is. There were some earlier indications, and you can see a couple of members trying to show this, that it would try to move up here to the north. Now it's going into Canada. Before it was actually getting into New England at some point, but with some of those members. But the rest of them, the majority, and this is probably the consensus idea, is that it would go off to the northeast here and back out into the open ocean. All right, and now here's the Loup Rivers forecast on Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff for October 23rd. We are looking at, I was able to get the screenshots of several of the weather offices that are along the area just to kind of give you an idea with what we're looking at. The weekend outlook, because I know some of you will be traveling during the weekend here. As you get south of St. Louis, you have a 20 to 30% chance of rain showers, light rain over Missouri. Highs will be in the lower to mid 60s. You got Saturday night and Sunday with the chances of precipitation starting to increase a little bit, with 30 to 50% for light rain. Highs will still be in the 60 to 65 degree range. Lows will be around 50. So that's not terrible for what's going on, but you will have to pay attention to the possibility for rain during that time. To kind of give an idea, so down by Hoppies, here's Kimswick. The forecast here for today, which is 65 degrees, winds out of the northeast, and sunny skies. We continue, it becomes partly sunny. Light winds, north-northeast at 3 miles per hour for the most part at that point. 62 for the high, 48 for the low. Partly sunny on Saturday. Sunday is 40% chance of rain. Winds will be a little bit stronger. We're going to get east-southeast at 8 miles per hour, so that's probably more like a 5 to 10, maybe even a little bit higher, but for the most part, an average around 8 miles per hour. Gusts will probably be no more than about 15, at least at this point, it looks like. 62 will be the high. We'll have another partly sunny day that will go into a chance for some rain later on in the afternoon, but it's a pretty low chance with 20%, which, as I've said, is an 80% chance of nothing happening. Winds out of the east at around 7 miles an hour, 65 degrees, and you can see that there is small chances each day going out into next week, although that cooler air does get in there on Wednesday at Kimswick, depending on how late you're going. And then I just grabbed the Sunday sunrise sunset times, just because of the fact that depending on when people are leaving, you can add a couple or subtract a couple of minutes for the sunrise closer to today, which I think is like maybe 7:19 this morning, and then for Sunday you're going to get out, about 3 or 4 minutes less. So there you are. Same thing with the sunset at night, and you can see the approximate times, at least based off of Sunday, when your astronomical dawn, nautical dawn, and civil dawn are all there. All right, so here's the forecast for Chester, Illinois, which is down by the Kaskaskia River, if anyone makes the lock wall. Although I have seen that the lock wall is going to be closed here through November 3rd, starting on the 22nd. I think it's already think it's closed. But in the general area there around Kaskaskia or up by Festus, some of the bailout points I know, the weather's still basically the same as we've already talked about. Mid 60s for most of this the weekend into early next week. Winds should be pretty decent. The only time it starts to get a little stronger is there on Sunday, maybe Monday. Their best chance as you get further south, though, is a 50% chance of rain on Sunday. So it could be a little bit wetter in that area. Tuesday and Wednesday looks like the chances are lower and the winds aren't quite as bad, although you start seeing the west-northwest at 11 miles per hour. So depending on where you are, you're going to see those south areas start to get a little bit stronger as that low pressure goes through there. All right, so this is Saturday. I made a mistake on it, but that's okay. It's 7:19 down in Chester. The further south you go, the longer the sunlight is going to stay a little bit longer, just because of the fact that as we get into the fall, it starts to get really short and starts going, the sunset times and sunrise times start to move quite a bit off to the north. You can see, though, the sunrise is at 7:19 and sunset is at 6:08 p.m. All right, now we're getting into the southern part of the upper Mississippi Valley, so that area getting down south of Kaskaskia. Frost potential tonight. So this is under the Paducah, Kentucky office. It's more than just Paducah, Kentucky. They are also in charge of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, southern Illinois, as well as eastern Kentucky. So today they have mostly sunny, 62. I don't think anyone's going to be down there that fast. But Saturday, partly to mostly cloudy. We got 64 to 70 degrees. Sunday looks like 61 to 65 with the chance of rain, that better chance of rain likely. So kind of take a look at Cape Girardeau at that point. You can see Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Sunday and Monday have those 50% chance of showers. In fact, it continues on into Tuesday. And Wednesday is a 40% chance. Winds don't really start to ramp up a little bit until we get into Wednesday on the 29th. Temperatures typically are in the lower to mid 60s each day. This one I did do on Sunday, and it is 7:17 a.m. For the sunrise on Sunday morning out in Cape Girardeau. So if you're down there, I guess it'd be above the Angelo Towhead. That would be one of the things to keep an eye on for your when you're going to leave. If you're trying to leave, 7 o'clock may be a pretty decent time. Civil dawn starts at 6:50. So, light enough that you can kind of see, but still dark enough that you still need to have your navigational lights on. You get down to Cairo. They have, Sunday and Monday. They also are in the 50 and even 60% chance. So it's likely that there will be rain on Tuesday, at least at this point. The winds again are pretty much the same way we were talking about before, which is they really don't start to ramp up until Wednesday, getting in there. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 60s, it looks like, through most of that time period until Wednesday, when that colder air comes across on the 29th. 7:15 a.m. is the sunrise time on Sunday for Cairo, and 6:06 p.m. at night is the sunset. You can see as you head further south on here that sunrise time is going to at least kind of hold up a little bit before until you're moving along the latitude line. So as you go to the east along the Ohio River, your sunset or sunrise times will start to get a little bit later during that time. Probably really won't do a whole lot until you're really going south on the Tennessee River before you really get into back to similar time sunrise times. All right, for Paducah, so we're looking at Monday, likely rain. At Tuesday, likely rain, and then a 50% chance. So pretty scattered areas of rain around there. Winds don't look nearly as strong. When I start seeing double digits, I get a little concerned, but it'll still be, may not be quite as gusty, at least on Wednesday, as you get further to the east. Temperatures, again, though, just like at Cairo, it's in mid to upper 60s until you get to Wednesday, when the cooler air comes in, and then it's in the lower 60s. And the sunrise time is at 7:13 a.m. on Sunday. So depending on when you get to Paducah, you're going to be around 7:15 for sunrises, and 6:00 and early 6, right around 6 or just after 6 o'clock for sunsets. And that's it for the Loop Rivers edition of Coffee and a Weather Map. Thanks for listening. And as always, you can always get a hold of me on Facebook, YouTube. if you have my text number, you can text me too. Facebook Messenger and that on recreational.weather there, or on Instagram. Also, I'm trying to think of other ways. Those are my primary ones that I respond to people to. So if you have any questions about anything in specifics, let me know, and I'll try to get something out to you. Thanks.